not a dopey dumb bitch. He gets laid. The court jester, the court DJ. It's time to dive into the case. To the case.
What is up, everybody? What's going on, guys? Thanks for being here. There he is. Oh, wait, gotta get this. There's Allie's forehead. Everyone say hi. Hold on.
Oh, Allie's forehead.
Hold on.
Hiding it.
What is up, y'all?
No.
What is up?
What is up, everyone? If someone is in there, I don't see this. If someone is in the studio, let me see if I could. It's not showing up for me, so I can't turn it off. I only see the.
What, this guy down at the bottom? Look at
I
Allie's
can't get-
forehead looking like $1 million.
I don't know.
What a forehead.
There we go. Thank you.
There we go.
Thank you. What's going on, guys?
Oh my God. Tough day. Tough day. So how did your day go first and foremost?
Yeah, so Bob tweeted out that life happened to both of us. For me, what life happening meant was yesterday at 4 o'clock around, I got a call from my ex-wife, Ethan's mom. And when I get a call from her, I know it's an issue because we do the Our Family Wizard thing. We've talked about this. It's like an app. So when I get a call, I know I'm like, oh shit, this is an issue. So my 15-year-old Ethan was cutting the hedges, and for folks who know who Bobby Ojeda is, he had a little Bobby Ojeda incident where he got his two fingers, his index finger and his middle finger. So he had to go to the emergency room. We go there yesterday, and they're like, all right, well, we'll take a look at it. We don't know what we're going to do. And then they're like, all right, you need surgery. Oh my gosh, shit.
Oh, man.
So, but this is the worst part. So this is why you guys, everyone knows with hospitals, it's hurry up and wait, right? So they're like, all right, we're not gonna be able to do it tonight. Tomorrow, 8 a.m, you're going. Like, all right, today, 8 a.m. No, we meant that's when they start doing surgeries. You're an add-on, so you'll be at some point. So at 4 o'clock today, Ethan had his surgery.
Wow.
4 o'clock. It was like an hour and a half, hour and 45-minute surgery. Luckily, he's out now, and the surgeon comes out with his phone, and he shows me he's describing to us what happened. He shows me like the medical thing. I'm like, are you fucking think I'm gonna remember this shit? Like he's like telling me all the little muscles and tendons that are like here, and he's like, this one did this, and I'm like, dude,
you're like, yo, bottom line this for me. Like,
yeah, essentially, and basically the bottom line is, at a certain point, you can't even it's too small with the nerves, but he was able to find a certain nerve and connect it. He was able to find like a tendon, and he didn't have to put a device in there, because basically the big concerns are infection and loss of so it seems all right. Thank you all. A lot of people sent me messages, so thank you all on Twitter. I appreciate it. He's got to be there tomorrow. He's over again because they're giving him antibiotics to avoid that infection. But thank you all for the kind words. Thank you so much. How about you guys? Allie, by the way, you're muted, but how was your day? What's going on with you guys?
I just realized that I was saying a bunch of stuff about your son, but it's all right.
Wow. Long, man. So like last night was like
no, it was fine.
Fast.
We had perfectly good amount of sleep. We're well rested. We're doing great.
How many hours sleep are you on right now, Allie?
2.
No,
2
multiple, several.
2 hours. 2 hours of sleep. Like, so when I was texting you at what was 7:30 for you, it was 6:30 for me. We had not been to sleep yet. So yeah, and our flight was like, we had to leave for the airport by 10. So we had to get the Airbnb like cleaned up and all the stuff. And so I hit Jay up like early. I'm like, man, because Jay had let us know yesterday, that they were scheduling the surgery for today. He's like, we can't do it tomorrow. And I'm like, oh man. So like at first I thought it's a half day. Maybe I could push it and like stream till 11 Central, which would have been noon. So I would have cut and then I'm like, I started like panicking. I'm like, oh man, like packing, cleaning the Airbnb, because we had 4 other 2 other couples that were staying with us, and it was a lot. So I was getting panicked. I'm like, and then we came up with the concept of doing this evening. So that was actually a huge relief for me, because I was just like, and then we flew home. We're in the air. We're 40 minutes out of Chicago. Pilot comes on, and Scarlett's got her final spring recital for chorus, for choir, like tonight. And, and it was at 6. So we were landing at 3. So at like 2:30, the pilot comes on. He's like, well, there's a huge storm, thunderstorms, hail, all kinds of stuff supposed to be going on in Chicago. They're putting us in a holding pattern for, we're guessing, about a half an hour. So 20 minutes into it, like, and I have my headphones on, my noise canceling headphones, but I can hear like vaguely the pilot speaking again. So I pull it off, and I hear them saying that they're diverting us to St. Louis. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like texting our neighbor whose son is also in choir over at the middle school. And I'm like, as hard as we're trying to make this thing, it's seeming like we're going to land in St. Louis, and I don't know how long we're going to be grounded there, whatever. They're refueling, blah, blah, blah. So then I'm like, can you bring Scout? And Scout was going to be super disappointed. She was like, oh, you already missed one of them, and blah, blah, blah. So I'm like guilting out, like in my head. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So then like 5 minutes later, like everything was cured, because they're like, oh, they cleared us. We can land in Chicago. So,
nice.
Oh, man. Yeah, it was great. So jumped in the Uber, got home, went to the recital. It was great. Rushed back here to get on. And like, so we have to thank both Dizzy and Mandy. They did huge work for us. Diz went in and she was, she was able to timestamp and go through. She sent us a nice script. I did have the opportunity on the plane. I paid for Wi-Fi, so I watched it. So I watched the better part of the hearing. Fortunately,
nice.
there were a ton of sidebars that I could just fast forward through. I fast forwarded through all of the beginnings of Lally's crosses or his directs with the cops, because it's always the same shit. So yeah, I think we're ready to go. But before we go,
go ahead.
Let's do a real quick Delphi update.
I was just gonna say, who was the first? Was I the first text? I sort of be.
Yes.
I want to know who the first text was when you found out that
you were the first text, and it was like the biggest relief of all time, man. I was like,
folks who don't know, tell them what it was.
All right, so like and y'all know, like I said at the end of our live yesterday that I didn't think I was going to be able to make it. Like the flights were crazy. There were none going into Indy at all yesterday night, and then the ones flying into Chicago, where I would have had to rent a car, drive the 2.5 hours to Fort Wayne, were like $1,200, man. It was like crazy, and it was one way. So I decided, I'm like, you know what? Like Gull has done this to me on like 3 of my other vacations, where I've like last year I had to leave Jazz Fest at the beginning of it, because she schedules these things and doesn't give normal 30-day dates. She does it in like a week. Like we were literally flying out on Wednesday when she set this thing for today, and it was supposed to be this huge hearing. So I'm like, you know what? I'm skipping it. I had to resign myself to the fact that I was going to enjoy the last night of the trip, hang out with our friends, and do what we always do. Go to the Nth Power show, just bliss out, end the Jazz Fest thing. And so I felt like really good about that. And then I felt amazing when I saw your text. So essentially what happens, they get there. And if you know anything about Delphi, if you've been following the Delphi coverage, you know that this thing was set for trial on the 13th. And, Jay and I have been talking about how we were going to try to work around that, with me being in Delphi and me throwing Allie to the wolves, having to stream every day, which she would have loved me for. She would have loved me for that. And it would have been like, it just would have sucked.
I don't think I would have done it. I think I would have done an analysis. End of the day analysis.
And I
you mean a read or of are we talking about that you would have put me on to read? Oh, then I would have
I
had to do
would
it all
put
day.
you.
Yeah.
I would have put you on to
Or
read.
Shannon and I would have gotten Jay to do an end of the day analysis.
So, but Jay, like, it's a great trial. So, ultimately, what happens? They get into court today, and immediately, Rosie starts arguing with the judge. Like, look, this is where we're at with this thing. It's one of two things: either because she had said in that email that they ended up attaching as an exhibit to one of their last motions in limine or motions, where she's like this thing is set for 2.5 weeks because you have to count the 3 days for jury selection as part of the trial, which means it would have been, like 2 full work weeks with 12 days and 3 days of trial because she was going to go on Saturdays too. And it's like, there's no way, like, the state's never going to get their case done in probably not in 2 weeks or even the entire trial time that was set, which was 2.5 weeks. I mean, the state's got the burden. They've got to put all the evidence on. It's like they have a much bigger task at hand. And we all know what the defense on this thing is going to be. So we know that they're going to put on a case. It's not one of these cases where they're going to put on maybe the defendant, maybe a couple of witnesses, and they're done. They're going a whole third-party culprit thing. And so this, like, Rosie goes in and tells the judge, look, like if you're not going to give us the 2 weeks that we need to try our case in chief, like, then we'll waive the speedy. And as soon as he said those magic words, she was like, fine. Like, I'm resetting it for that October date. I'm giving you a month, and that's it. And so, and like it was heated. It sounds like. I got word.
Yeah, I heard Rosie said something to the effect of, you don't even know what you're talking about. You don't even know what this case is about, or something.
Exactly. Like, you don't even know the facts of the case, which is it's true. I mean, theoretically, she doesn't. Like, I don't think that she's read the Frank's memos, and like, judges aren't supposed to know what the evidence is. They, like I've said before, they do not get discovery packages. It's like, if people are under the assumption that judges know all the evidence prior to going into trial, that is not the fact at all. They don't. They're supposed to know nothing because they're supposed to be unbiased. You don't want judges hearing everything. So, bottom line, the thing gets kicked. The third party culprit hearing, what was set for today, got kicked till May 21st through the 23rd. She's given 3 days for that. I'll go out there for that. So it was a huge relief, man. It was like just a huge relief. And I didn't get sucked in to like, how pissed I would have been. You would, like, dude, like, spending $1,200, leaving the last day of my vacation, flying into O'Hare, renting a car, driving, probably getting to the hotel at 1 a.m, having to get up in 4 hours to go stand online to get into the courtroom, and then that shit happens. Like,
I'm so glad you didn't do that, dude. That
well, it's like you kept saying, dude. It's like you were like, your voice is in my head. Like, don't kill yourself on this shit.
Yeah, man. Take care of your mental health. You did. So good thing.
I did. So yeah. So there
now we
go.
can cover this trial that's been amazing. I mean, it's just been a fascinating trial that we've been watching. So
I love it.
We can cover the whole thing. So we're both excited because we were worried about that. So let me thank you again. Thank you, Dizzy and Mandy. I'm going to pull up the screen here. Dizzy has some. We're going to go over the highlights, folks. Let me let's do this. Share screen.
No, I just ate.
This is not.
I'm actually in a great mood because of everything actually came together today. So,
and actually, before we, I got to move this over to the other side, or do I? How do I do this? Now I could put up the thing. And then also, I wanted to show this before I did because I thought this was real. I wanted to do a little fan mail. I haven't even showed this to Bob yet, but I want to show this real quick before, because I really appreciate. I think Bob's gonna like this too. Let me.
We just got a letter. We just got a letter. We just got a letter.
And this letter, I know who it's from. It's from Samantha Lee, and she says, I'm going to need you guys to stream all future trials together. I'll admit it, I wasn't sold when I first watched, but I'm so glad I hung in there because you three do amazing coverage together, and I love that there's humor mixed in there. It's so needed. If you're new and on the fence about the setup. Keep watching. They are truly great. Samantha, thank you so much for that
Thank you.
comment. And
That's wonderful.
we hope that other people will give us a chance like she did. So let me.
That's so amazing, man. That man, like when people send us stuff like that, like if you guys don't think that it like makes us feel amazing and like that we're, you know, doing something that's worth watching and letting us know that you guys feel that way, it really does. It just confirms, man. It's huge for us to know that and hear those comments. And so thank you for that. We really appreciate that. It keeps us going. It really does.
Absolutely. All right. So Dizzy, the first thing we got here is 3740 Sergeant Sean Good, and then it says Yannetti, and then it says swipe system stipulated swipe record. So let me go to 3740.
So yeah, while you're doing that, it sounds like, because I watched some of it. I didn't get through it. I think Bob got through a lot more, but they had
I got through the whole
stipulated.
thing, actually, the whole hearing. I was able to fast forward through a bunch of stuff.
They agreed to have that the records go in, so they didn't have to lay the foundation. And because this witness said, I know nothing about the records. I don't know what the records do or how the records are kept or what's in them.
Let's see what's
Amy, thank you so much. Amy Albers. I realize how much I love you guys today. Had crazy withdrawals, but your transparency and putting your family first makes me love you all so much more.
Thank you, Amy.
It happens. Thank you so much. And we thank you guys for being patient with us.
Absolutely. And knowing that like we're trying our best, you know, we got our lives too. So thank you. We really do appreciate that.
Good morning. Right. We all set?
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes.
Good morning, Sergeant.
Good morning.
Sergeant, you are familiar with the key swipe system at the Canton Police Department?
Yes.
Could you explain to the jury how that works?
So police officers are issued looks like a credit card. I have it in my wallet. Anytime I enter or leave the police department, the exterior doors going out the back there's a key scan. You put up to it to unlock the door to come in. When you leave, you don't have to go in, but if you need to go into the booking area, you have to scan yourself in and out, and to get out of the sally points, you have to scan in and out.
Okay, and just trying to keep your voice up so that
Yes,
these
sorry.
last few jurors can hear you. How many officers on your department have those keys that can be swiped?
I would believe all of them.
Okay. And how many, or strike that. Do you know how this information is stored at the Canton Police Station?
I do not. I don't know the software, but I believe it's recorded anytime we would come and go.
Okay. And you say you
And by the way, Bob and Al, you guys just let me know when you want me to pause and I'll, stop it.
believe that it's recorded at the time that the information is obtained. In other words,
So Jay,
somebody
pause
key
it for one
swipes in.
sec.
Yo.
Dizzy says the stuff in black is stuff that we could skip over.
Oh,
So
all right.
I think we go right to 4220.
Yeah, that's a big deal. I didn't watch any of the trial, but I saw some tweets. This seems like a big one. All right, thanks, Dizzy. Sorry about that. Let's go to 4220.
Allie, look at your text.
Before you now took the stand today, did you go over your report?
My police report?
Yes.
Yes.
Were you looking for anything specifically?
No.
How long did you take to review that report between yesterday and today?
I scanned over it.
Few minutes?
Sure. Yes.
Have you spoken to anybody about your report?
No.
Nobody from the Canton Police?
No.
You recall that I had asked you about the fact that one name had not been completely spelled out in terms of first name, right?
Yes.
And you had, I believe, indicated that Sergeant Blank was the one that altered that or added that to the report.
Not altered. So he was the one that got those names. So when he entered his report, I believe he would enter those.
Okay, and so he entered that into your report, correct?
Anybody writes a supplemental, if you have the authorization, can enter who you speak to add those names. I only spoke to Miss Roberts, Miss Reed, and Miss McCabe that morning.
Okay. But the report has your name
Little
on
hand.
it, correct?
Yes.
Oh,
Sorry.
Little hand. So Bob and I were like screaming. I don't know if Massachusetts does it different. Now I've read reports in multiple states. So typically a supplemental is literally a supplemental report. It has a different day, it has a different reporting officer, and it says what that reporting officer did. I have never heard them call what they're going to refer to here as the front page, like the first page of the main report, the very first page, to be getting updated as other pages get updated. So, or being referred to as a supplemental. So it makes no sense to me. And Bob and I were just like, what in the hell is this cop why does he keep calling it a supplemental when it's literally page 1 of the report printed on a different day? And like, why isn't the judge thinking, this is strange? That's not the way I'm used to hearing it described. But, maybe it's possible that this police department does something bizarre where you can't tell what officer did what. I mean, even if there's 2 people discussing things, then 2 people sign the report, or it would say, officer good, reporting officer good, and detective Lank, did X, Y, and Z. You're not putting what completely different officers did at a different time on the front page of the report that you did days earlier. It's unheard of.
Yeah, and beyond that, Al, I don't know how far you made it in, but when he gets to, you'll see during Yannetti's cross, which we'll get to. I don't want to give too many spoilers, but he is going to be asking questions about why the second picture with the snow melted is then placed upon the face sheet of the original face sheet of the report. So that's the first thing you're looking at, which gives the impression that photograph, which is on the face sheet, which is dated the 29th of January, that photograph was taken on the 29th. And then you'll hear Goody says, oh, well, can I explain it? And Yannetti just ignores him. And then, of course, Lally then goes back and he ends his redirect with the answer, which is a non-answer.
It's a supplemental report. That was his answer again, because I did get.
And I don't know how the system works. I don't know if it just puts pictures, in what order, like some.
Nobody seems to know all of anything about how
it's
evidence
like,
gets signed and how it gets into lockers and where
wait
the
till
log
we get
is.
to Lank. Wait till we get to the Lank with the evidence bags. It's like, it's crazy. It's crazy. All right.
Cardi B, what do you think about all this?
That's suspicious. That's weird.
Did you speak to anybody from the prosecution, either Mr. Lally or Ms. McLaughlin or anybody else from that office about this issue?
No.
You would agree with me that it is important when you're writing a police report to be transparent, correct?
Yes.
You want to be clear, correct?
Yes.
You do not want to mislead the reader into believing something that is not true, correct?
Yes.
Could I see P and Q for identification, please?
You think I should skip to the 4735, the next one?
Yeah,
or keep
because
going?
they're just gonna. No, they are. They're just gonna go back and forth about, and then the judge is gonna call it sidebar.
Sidebar. All right, so let's go
Sidebar.
here. This is the major problem about
The
here.
very first thing?
Yes. Are we looking at Q?
No,
At P? Yes. P? Yes. It looks like the berm. Correct.
And then with regard to Q for identification, which again is the face sheet with the identical information, is there a different photo?
Yes.
What does that photo appear to depict, if you know?
It looks like the same area that Mr. O'Keefe possibly was found, I believe.
All right. Those two documents, P for identification and Q for identification, those are actually your report, correct?
Correct. But can I explain?
Mr. Lally will, I'm sure.
Is that the part?
let you explain.
All right, so let me now I'll fast forward to the actual pictures, right? Let's go there.
But then he does it again, and he asks
Oh, should I
something.
keep
At
going
that-
on?
no, 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 it's fine. And then at that point, he just ignores him. Like there, he's like, "I'm sure Mr. Lowry will let you do it." And then he
Right.
kind of says it again, and he ignores him and just keeps asking his next question.
Plowing forward.
So let's see.
Plowing forward.
This is where they should show it on the screen.
Photo before you, Sergeant Good. Do you recognize what that depicts?
Yes,
What does it depict?
I believe that's a photo of a piece of a taillight.
Okay. And when you say a photo of a piece of a taillight, you're obviously referring to a piece of a taillight allegedly found at 34 Fairview in Canton.
Yes,
Now, that photo is the photo that is included in Exhibit Q for identification that you previously saw, right? That's the second photo, is it not?
on the second face sheet that he gave me?
Yes.
Yes,
All right. And I'm showing you, if I may approach again,
Yes.
what has already been marked Exhibit 20A. Do you recognize that?
yes.
What do you recognize that to be?
That's the berm from that morning.
Okay, and Exhibit 20A is the photo that was in the first version of your report, which was P for identification, correct?
Yes,
If I can take those back from you, sir. Just do it like that. Right? Where's the photo that you identified, which was the piece of taillight that allegedly was found at 34 Fairview? That was a fair and accurate representation of that photo, correct?
yes.
All right. May I offer that, Your Honor?
Okay, there's no objection, Mr. Lally?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
Exhibit 42. 22. Okay, and I'm sorry,
Okay.
is
There we go.
you've testified the photo of the berm that was included in the first version of your police report, which was P for identification, correct?
Yes,
All right. Let's put up 42, please. No. I'm sorry. Where is 42?
Right
I
here.
don't have it.
Oh, you have it.
Yeah.
No wonder. Thank you, Mr.
Sure.
Okay. The exhibit sticker's upside down, but oh, there we go. That is the photo of the piece of taillight allegedly found at 34 Fairview that you have identified as Exhibit 42, correct?
Yes,
All right. Now, having seen those photos, one was included in P for identification, one was included in Q for identification, correct?
yes,
Which you previously identified as your reports. Or report, I should say.
yes.
Your Honor, I would offer the top portion of P and Q for identification as a full exhibit.
Okay, and there's an objection from the Commonwealth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. It will come in, when the jury actually gets it, we'll have it on the same 9x12 paper that everything else is.
Perfect.
All right, so I'm going to fast forward to now. This is where they put them both on the screen together.
Okay. Sergeant Good, you have previously testified about the details in these reports. You would agree that each of these reflects your report. It says reporting officer Sergeant Sean Good, correct?
Yes,
Each of these is page 1 of your report, correct?
yes,
You've previously testified that you call that the face sheet of the report, correct?
yes,
Each of these has the identical incident number and call number, correct?
yes,
The identical date and time reported, correct?
yes,
The identical report date and time, correct?
Yes.
And of course, the identical officer.
Yes.
Other than the print date of the face sheet of your report, one appears to be in January, one appears to be in October. The major change is the photo that's included on the face sheet, correct?
Yes. Can I explain why?
So that second photo with the
Just
piece
ignore it.
of tail light that is included on the first page of your report, that photo is not from January 29th of 2022, correct?
Correct.
You never took a photo of a piece of taillight on January 29th of 2022, correct?
Correct.
You never saw a piece of taillight at 34 Fairview on January 29th of 2022, correct?
Correct.
Did you personally switch the photo on the face sheet of your police report?
No.
Do you know who did?
So whoever updated the report, their supplemental, you add photos.
But in answer to my question, do you know the specific person from your department who altered the photo on the face sheet of your report?
I didn't take the supplemental report, so I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know who took the photo.
But given that this is your report, you're the reporting officer, you are responsible for the content of that report, are you not?
For my report, yes, not other officers' supplementals to an investigation.
All right,
But wait a second. It's the same report. It's not a second report. Like,
And
this
it doesn't
seems to be a
say
major-
supplemental anywhere.
It's his name with just a different picture, and he doesn't know who edited the picture. That
Like-
seems like a problem to me.
And listen, Jay, like when we get because like the way that it works in an ongoing investigation, you'll have multiple officers working on a case, right? And officers may write reports that are supplements to the original report, which get added, and it's entitled supplemental report, and it's referenced. Like typically what you'll see, at least what you'll see on a face sheet or the original report, is that, or in the supplemental report, it'll say it's a supplement to report number bloopity bloopity bloop. You know what I'm saying? And like, there's no indication anywhere on this face sheet in terms of this being a supplement. When he adds the second picture, which you'll see, like the state's going to object in terms of talking about what that misrepresents, that it misrepresents. The question I have for you, Allie, is in a situation like this, what is the defense trying to pull out of this? What is the defense trying to give to the jury? Because theoretically, the reports themselves are typically not coming in, right? I mean, like this is part of this is part and parcel of the exhibits themselves. What are they hoping to show or to highlight for the jury with respect to these reports? Because obviously, at some point, the jury wasn't necessarily going to hear about these face sheets and there being, different pictures on there. Like, because like it's the police reports are really for us, the lawyers, the state and the defense. They're drafted for us. We rely exclusively on those in terms of what their investigation was. So like, what do you think they're trying to draw out?
Well, clearly they're trying to show that these were altered to make it look as though they found those pieces of glass on day one. And that's why he keeps using like who altered this, and he keeps saying it's a supplement, like it's not altered. And I think that they're allowing it in as evidence, but not as, not for the truth of what's written in it, but to show the discrepancy, the change between the two that are printed on different dates.
But what I'm saying is that typically the jury's not seeing police reports.
Right, but now they are. They're seeing a
Right.
space report because they want to show that they're different on the two different dates, as though they tried to make it look like that picture was taken on day one. It was on the original report. It was
To the attorneys, though, so that when they prepared the reports, because again, we're the
Well, why
ones.
are you?
So to me, well, go ahead, Allie. Sorry.
No, I got a cough, so I'm good. Go, Jay.
I was just gonna
It's not
say
like you're gonna start yelling. Allie was about to start yelling at me.
to me, this is them adding to the fact that, hey, there are some police officers that are related here because someone, we don't know who, someone went into this report and changed it. And they want this jury to think like, oh, we're starting to give you guys some names, and we're starting to tell you that they're in law enforcement and we're starting to tell you that they have access to get, we know one of the witnesses we watched together was like, so he could just go in and out whenever he wants. Does he need? So like to me, I feel like they're just trying to like further the fact that someone changed this report and maybe they were doing it because they were trying to help someone else out. Because this witness, who it's supposed to be his report, cannot tell you who just added that picture. He has no idea. So maybe it was someone trying to help out. You know, I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, like my feeling, and the reason that I asked Allison about this is that this just seems to be much ado about nothing, really, to me. I was reading comments today on Twitter, and I was seeing some stuff that there was some evidence that came in towards the end of the day that they felt put the state in better shape. And I'm watching and I'm like, okay, well, what is that? Like, I'm not seeing it. And like, I'm kind of looking at this, and that's why I was asking Allie, like, is there an angle aside from just trying to establish that, the fix is in with this case, that she was framed, that this is just another small example of them, like painting a different picture by putting things out of order and pretending like this picture of the berm or the snow's melted and shows the reflector or, the tail light is like a big deal, but the reality is that I think it probably is like a software issue. I don't think any of these cops know how the software works. It could be a thing where, like, when there's a supplement, and they're uploading 4 or 5 pictures, that it is automatically supplement. Like,
You
to
could be
me,
a
it's
sucker though, because
I
I've never
could be.
seen that happen before. And I was actually sitting here thinking there's probably so many people who just believe what this cop is saying. Well, that's normal. When another cop creates a supplement, it updates my main page in ways that I don't even understand how and have no idea who. To me, sounds absurd. But like I said, I don't know. Maybe there's something weird or different about the way they do it here. And clearly, Bob, you think it could very well be what he's describing,
Right,
but I've never seen
all
that
I'm
happen
saying is,
before.
like, they all use different softwares, like for report writing. It's like, they're not starting these reports from scratch. It's all boilerplate reports, and there's wizards that they're using where they're putting in, their narratives and filling in the dates and all that other shit, and it's populating the fields. And like, I just don't know what software they're using, as you'll see. And I don't think my bigger point is, I don't know how much we need to belabor like Goody's testimony, because I just didn't feel like we were getting much. Like, if Allie and I were doing the Vallow type coverage, we probably would have skipped a vast majority of this dude's testimony, because he just didn't bring much to the table in terms of this portion of the cross, to me.
All right, so you want me to go to Lally and I guess Lank, 149.47 looks like.
Yeah, we could do the like you talk about
or 126, which says jury not present. He says he will talk about fight. I think we kind of got into the fight the last stream, right? What they could get in, what they couldn't.
Yeah, like Jackson did the whole thing. He did the offer of proof, talking
right, so,
about like all the things. Yeah, I think that's duplicative, because he's basically just making the argument again.
Right. All right. So 149. This says morning of 1/9/29/22. Good, called Lank. All right. So this is, I think, the direct of Lank. Let's see what we got here.
Correct.
Yes.
And if you could explain to the jury sort of what are the differences between what a shift sergeant does and what
To run the daily shift, give out sec cruises to appropriate areas.
your attention to the morning
Here
of
we go.
January 29th, 2022. Some point after 6 a.m., did you receive a call in regard to a dispatch that your department had received?
Yes.
And who, if anyone, called you around that time?
Sergeant Sean Good.
Do you know approximately what time Sergeant Good called?
I believe it was 6:08.
And with reference to that call, the initial call from Sergeant Good, what, if any, information did he relay to you at that time?
Sergeant Good stated that there was a gentleman found in the snow at 34 Fairview Road, and he was in very grave condition. And he brought it to my attention that he was also a Boston police officer.
And subsequent to that, through the course of your investigative work on this case, did you learn who that unresponsive male was?
Yes.
And who did you learn?
John O'Keefe.
And upon receiving that call, where did you go?
I went to 34 Fairview Road.
And if you know about what time would you estimate that you arrived in the area of 34 Fairview Road?
I live fairly close, so I was on scene by, I believe it was 6:24, 6:25.
And upon your arrival, who, if anyone else, from your department was there prior to you?
Officer Saraf, Officer Mullaney, and Sergeant Good.
And when you arrived, beyond sort of the other officers from your department, what, if any, other activity or what, if any, other persons did you observe on scene?
When I arrived, I observed that the ambulance was still there. There was multiple EMTs, and I observed some witnesses also.
And with respect to the ambulance, it's your understanding Mr. O'Keefe was in that ambulance?
Yes.
Did you ever see Mr. O'Keefe on that one?
I did not.
And at some point, the other officers who preceded your arrival, did they direct you to where Mr. O'Keefe was found when they first arrived?
They did.
And where was that sort of in relation to the property, if you recall?
If you're looking at 34 Fairview Road, it was on the left side of the property, about 8 feet from the road.
And in that sort of general area, what, if any, sort of landmarks or other sort of items in that area of the front yard did you observe?
I observed a flagpole. There was a fire hydrant and some brush area over there.
And upon your arrival on scene, who was the first person that you spoke to?
Sergeant Sean Good.
And you had some conversation with him, is that correct?
That's correct.
And then following talking to Sergeant Good, who, if anyone else, did speak to once?
I spoke to Jennifer McCabe.
And where was it in relation to the scene that you first spoke to Jennifer McCabe?
I believe I spoke to Jennifer McCabe right in front of Mark Cruiser 683, which was assigned to Officer Saraf.
And then about how long a conversation was that initially with Ms. McCabe?
I would say probably 8 or 9 minutes.
And in addition to Ms. McCabe, what, if any, other sort of civilians did you observe in that area around that time?
I observed Kerry Roberts, and I don't recall seeing anybody else at the scene while I was focused on Ms. McCabe.
Now, with respect to Jennifer McCabe, I'll strike that. So after you spoke with Ms. McCabe for 8 or 9 minutes, then who, if anyone else, did you speak to at that time?
So after I spoke with Ms. McCabe, I believe I was able to then contact the CPAC unit.
And what is the CPAC unit?
CPAC unit is the investigative division for the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office.
Why did you contact them?
Because I was made aware at some point that it did not appear that Mr. O'Keefe was going to survive, and I wanted them to be aware of the situation.
And did they respond at that time?
No.
Now, with reference to, is that sort of a typical protocol, or what, if any, sort of typical protocol would you have responding to a scene of this nature?
Yes, any sort of scene where it appears that the person is not going to survive, we would contact State Police CPAC unit.
And why is that?
Because they investigate all deaths.
So they have jurisdiction over all unattended deaths, is that correct?
That's correct.
As well as homicides, things of that nature.
Correct.
Now, once do you recall who, if anyone, you spoke to on that first call or notification to CPAC?
It would have been just the dispatch center on the first call.
And what, if any, subsequent calls did you have with regard to CPAC while you were on scene that morning?
I got a return call from Trooper Michael Proctor.
And from your conversation with Trooper Proctor, what was your understanding as far as their response to the scene at that time?
So at that point in time, Trooper Proctor informed me that they would not be responding.
I don't know what that noise is.
Fucking storm inside the courtroom.
Keep your last responses. Frankly, I didn't.
Yes. In speaking to Trooper Proctor, he advised me at that point that they would not be responding.
And did he inform you as to why not at that time?
Objection.
Sustained.
Now, when you arrived on scene, what, if anything, did you note as far as the weather conditions?
The weather conditions were
Snowy.
extremely
Windy.
poor. There were high winds, heavy snow,
That's
and
new.
freezing temperatures.
New. Do we know this?
Now,
I'm just saying, it's like he doesn't need to cover this with every single solitary witness. We all know it was snowing, it was
when you
windy,
first arrived
it
on
was
scene, Mr.
freezing.
O'Keefe,
Yeah, it was
back to
blizzard
that ambulance,
conditions.
is that correct?
That's correct.
Like, and
And,
one thing
when
that I
was it?
want to see, that like, when are we putting a meteorologist in? Because I am so sick of this debate on how much fucking snow there was. Like, somebody tell me how much snow was on the ground. Like, why is this still an issue? Like, to me, the fact that the state isn't putting a meteorologist to say, or somebody that can authenticate like the weather records, you know, in terms of the amount of precipitation that was on the ground in Canton, Massachusetts at 6:30 in the morning on the 29th of January. Like, why are we still trying to guess?
Where is Al Roker? Where is he? Bring him on
he?
in there.
Where is Al? Skinny Al. and for the record, I always enjoyed larger Al more than Skinny Al. That's my personal thing. He lost some of his jolliness when he became Skinny Al Roker. But I digress.
That the ambulance left in relation to when you arrived?
Very, very shortly after I arrived, I would say within 5 minutes.
Now, as far as injuries to Mr. O'Keefe, who, if anyone, relayed any information in regard to that?
Sergeant Good advised me that
Objection.
Sustained.
Mystery objections.
Those are hearsay.
Definitely hearsay.
To me.
The one prior was speculation for sure.
Now, as far as following your conversation with Ms. McCabe, what was sort of the next steps that you took on scene?
after I spoke to Ms. McCabe, I advised her that we were going to need to speak with the homeowners. She said that they were probably sleeping. I advised her that we were going to need to speak with them. And that's when I placed the call to the CPAC unit.
And prior to that, when you were on scene, had you seen anyone come in or go out of the residence at 34 Fairview Road?
No.
And
Well, we saw it on video.
as far as sort of the other houses on the street, what, if any, activity did you observe with reference to any residents of those homes coming in or going out of their homes?
I did not observe anybody come in or out of their home.
Following your initial call to CPAC and conversation with Proctor, what is it that you did next?
Once that call was complete, Sergeant Good and I observed that there was now a light on in the house of 34 Fairview, and we made the decision to then go in and speak with the homeowners.
And how was it that you sort of proceeded up to the home?
I believe, I don't recall if we used I believe we used the driveway, but I'm not 100% sure.
And you came into the home, recall which door that you used to enter the home?
The main door, the front door.
When you entered in through the main door, what, if you could describe to the jury sort of what you observed as far as what was before you from a layout perspective?
There was a staircase right in front of us, and to the right, it entered into like what appeared to be like a dining area.
And Who, if anyone, did you speak with inside the home that morning?
Brian Albert and Nicole Albert.
And what, if any, relationship to the home did you determine based on your conversation with them?
They were the homeowners.
Brian Albert, is that someone that you knew prior to January 29th, 2022?
Yes.
And how did you know?
All right, Jay.
I knew him as the oldest.
All right, I'm gonna real quick. I want to just throw up this particular image real quick.
If anyone's wondering, I keep leaning over and petting the dog because he's so sad. He came down here and laid next to me.
All right, so this is the foyer. Okay, so this is where he's standing. All right, and this particular area right here, this is the door to the basement that they kept calling the cellar. All right, and here's the stairs to upstairs. Oops. Let's see. I also kind of want to go to. We can check out the layout down here.
1 million.
900,000 they got for this spot.
Wow, I mean, look nice.
It's a cop's house.
This is the house. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So here you go. Foyer. So this is where he's standing right here. Okay. And this doesn't give a great representation because it's actually shifted. So like that picture we were looking at, we're seeing these stairs here, right? Except like that picture is reversed because obviously it's a photograph. So it's mirrored. The image is mirrored. So like these are the stairs we're seeing in terms of getting down to the basement. Again, here are the basement stairs. So it's just kind of nice to know like where he was, and like having an idea of.
So is there a second driveway? Go back to the outside of the house.
A second driveway?
I still don't understand how he's so high up on isn't he way over?
Let's see. Okay, so they're not giving us I lost it. It's gone.
Well,
All
if
right.
we're looking at it, it's to the left, like the far left, because you don't even see the flagpole. So I just don't understand how he gets there if he's hit by a car. I don't understand it.
All right, so this view.
Well, I think the theory is that she is
on the grass. On the grass.
There we go. There we go. So here's the flagpole.
So the theory is she drove up onto the grass.
Well, that's what I'm curious if the theory is that did she hit him at the curb area and he stumbles that way? She hit him at the curb area and he's like in flight? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Right. And like, how is the tail light 8 feet in?
That makes no sense.
Like,
He definitely doesn't stumble if that's where the tail light is. So they're saying that she just peeled up onto the grass. I feel like there'd be some sort of indication of that on the wet grass.
Like prior to all of the shit that I was like reading online prior to trial, with the theories of how O'Keefe got the injuries, people were like, he dropped his glass in the street, so he's bending down to pick it over. Well, we know that that's not what happened.
Because clearly there wouldn't be tailgate 3 feet from the curb.
Yeah, right. Like the taillights. Like 8 feet.
Tail light, right, 8 feet.
It was way deeper in than like 3 feet. And so was the cocktail glass.
Yeah.
And then like I read that somebody tweeted, it's like, oh, well, he got out of the car and he was taking a piss. And that's when she backed into him. I'm like, so
she pulled up on the grass.
Well, like, or he was standing on the curb, but who is going to another cop's house that's 30 feet away and whipping their dick out and taking a piss on the guy's front lawn? Like when he's right before he's going in the house.
And he doesn't know them that well.
Right. He's not pissing on their front lawn. That's like, if he was, that's why he got a beating. And it probably just happened on the lawn because he's like, oh, is that guy pissing on the lawn? Running out with weight plates, smashing him in the head, whatever. All right. I once again digress. Let's go.
Sure do, buddy.
of the Albert brothers.
And did you know some of the other Albert brothers?
Yes,
And let me ask you this, Sergeant. Where did you grow up?
Canton.
And how long have you lived in Canton?
We moved here, excuse me, we moved to Canton when I was 5 years old.
So essentially, since you were 5 years old, you lived in the town, correct?
Yes,
You work in the town, correct?
yes,
Do you have children?
I do.
Any of them play sports?
They do.
Objection.
I'm sustained.
Move to strike.
Strike that.
Relevance.
What, if any, other sort of, other than living and working in the town, what, if anything else, is it that you do around the town?
I coach youth sports.
And how long have you
Should
done that?
be objecting again, unless this is leading into
I mean,
him
the
knowing him.
relevance is that they're trying to establish that, like they're
I would
both
say
sports stats, like, and that their kids play sports together, small town, and then that's where they're running it. Like tangentially, there's relevance there, but she's not.
So that is how they know each other?
Nah, but like that's what they're getting at. Like they're asking the questions. I don't know if they're fishing. You know, Lally, I would assume, isn't fishing here.
Right. He knows what he's asking and why.
Right. You know, he's going to say, no, we don't play sports together. The kids don't play on the same teams or in the same leagues. Is it possible that the wind blew the broken taillight pieces and they scattered? I mean, anything's possible.
It just seems unlikely because of the snow and the curb. I mean,
and it's a piece of plastic that theoretically, like that big piece could be, I mean, but they say it's blizzard conditions. You know, it seems like it would have to be caught in a gust of wind in order for it to be blowing around, not laying flat. You know, but that again, that's what I'm saying. Like, we just need to know how much snow there was.
But we would need to know how much snow there was at when this happened. Was that midnight?
Yeah, nothing.
Right.
It was just starting snow.
So the answer to that would be no. It wouldn't be blowing all around because there'd be snow on it.
Well, I think it was starting to get gusty. You know, like I think there was dusting early. You know how any storm rolls in, it builds
blowing
steam.
the taillights above the curb and
Yeah, all 45 pieces. It was like a tornado of taillights just whipping around the front yard.
But we're going to say anything's possible.
Found shit
right.
is insane. Like, it's just not anyone finds one piece of taillight, even with the great idea of using the leaf blower, the genius cop move of using a leaf blower to blow snow around. They still didn't find shit.
Agreed that it did not look like blizzard conditions when they were using that leaf blower.
Right. It didn't. All right, let's go, Jack.
At least 9 or 10 years.
And how would you describe your relationship with Brian Albert prior to that January 29th, 2022?
Civil.
Do you friends? Do you socialize?
No.
Now, in addition to Brian Albert and Nicole Albert, who, if anyone else, where did you speak to them within the home?
Just inside the door by the staircase.
And how would you describe their demeanor when you were speaking to them?
They appeared, especially Mr. Albert, appeared disheveled, looked like he had just woken up.
And about how long a conversation was it between Brian Albert and Nicole Albert that initial time?
I'd say 15, 20 minutes.
So is that why we think we look disheveled?
Who, if anyone else,
are we gonna see
yourself, Sergeant Good,
the phone records of Albert that are going to show that this pimp was
no one else at that time?
No.
Like at 5 a.m. Is Lally aware that because he's the one guy that got his phone records in that house, aside from Jen McCabe, who offered her phone up. So they got Albert his phone. So they're going to have his records. Now, are they going to have this testimony where he's talking about how he looks like he just woke up from sleep and is disheveled?
I mean, I'm sorry, disheveled, just woke up from sleep as opposed to been drinking all night and had a big old fight?
Right. Or I don't know. I don't know if this particular Albert has hair or if he's bald, or I don't know what his deal is. you know, it's like I can pretty much, like, if I got a cop coming in and I'm trying to make it look like I'm asleep, like, you know, I just take and mess my hair up. Oh, hey, what's going on, man? Shit, I was just up there asleep. What's going on? You know what I mean? It's like, come on. You know, it's like when he says stuff like that, it's just, it's strange. I don't know. I'm
Are
trying
you
to get the
familiar
state
with the gentleman?
Sorry.
though.
No, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that was it. That was it.
Oh, okay.
I'm having a
Man
hard time.
named Brian Higgins.
I am.
And how are you familiar with him?
I met Brian when he was stationed at our police station. I don't know how many years ago it was, but he was assigned to our building years ago. That's how I met him.
And assigned in what capacity? And what I mean by that is what did he do for work?
Brian is a ATF agent.
And did you see Mr. Higgins at any point in time during the time that you were at Fairview Road that morning?
Not on my initial response.
He's
So
bald.
sometime after, is that correct?
Yes.
What
Bald.
about was that?
How's he look
That
to
would have
shovel?
been shortly after 9 a.m.
Good question.
And we'll get to that in a moment, but after your conversation with Brian Albert and Nicole Albert inside the house, what is it that you did then?
Could you repeat that, please?
After talking to the homeowners, what was your next step on scene that day? What did you do next?
After speaking with the family, I came out. By that point, Lieutenant Gallagher was on scene and spoke with Lieutenant Gallagher as to what we were going to do next as far as the scene itself.
And to that end, what, if anything, did you or the other officers do with regard to sort of security of the scene of that?
So we had put up some crime scene tape to try to protect the scene, but it was a futile effort because of the wind. But there were marked patrol cars in front of the yard at all times, so the scene was fairly secure at all times.
And then with relation to the scene or the area that you were directed, or your attention was directed to as to where Mr. O'Keefe had been found, what, if anything, did you do with reference to that area?
I stood by and observed while Lieutenant Gallagher used a leaf blower to try to clear the top layers of snow off of the scene.
And at some point in time, well, that particular process, was that memorialized in any way?
Yes,
And how was it done so far?
in my report.
I'm sorry, beyond that, was there any sort of photos or video that were taken of that leaf blower process?
Yes, Sergeant Good was able to take video while Lieutenant Gallagher used a leaf blower.
You've seen that video, is that correct?
Yes,
And what's contained in that video, is that a fair and accurate portrayal of sort of what happened on scene that morning?
yes.
Now, in addition to, well, let me ask you this, as far as the leaf blower was concerned, what was sort of the purpose of that, or what was the thinking behind that?
The purpose behind the leaf blower was to just take the top layers of snow off to reveal what was underneath and try to preserve any potential evidence.
And upon employing that, what, if anything, did you then observe in that area of the front lawn?
Ultimately, we were able to see what appeared to be blood drops in the snow, as well as a drinking glass, cocktail glass.
Blood
Now, in
trickling.
addition to the video that was taken with regard to the leaf blowing process, or the use of the leaf blower, were the photos that were taken of the scene as well?
Yes.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could have exhibit number 27. You recognize that?
Yes.
And what do you recognize it to be?
I recognize that to be the scene that we were working with the leaf blower.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
So I'm handing you a laser pointer, basically, very simple, just press on that button and I don't want to.
Okay, thank you.
Lieutenant Lang, with using that laser pointer, if you could draw the jury's attention to what, if anything, of significance you observe in this photograph in relation to what you saw on scene that time.
So it appeared to see blood drops here in the snow that had been revealed by wiping away the top layer, as well as the glass protruding from the snow.
Thanks. Ms. Gilman, you can take that down. Did you have any contact or interaction with a person named Karen?
I did not.
Did you see her on scene at all that day?
I don't recall seeing her. I believe she was there while I was there, but I never spoke to her.
Now, following your initial conversation inside the home of 34 Fairview with Ryan Albert, Nicole Albert, and speaking to Jennifer McCabe outside, who, if anyone else, did you speak with that arrived on scene that morning?
Matthew McCabe.
And when was it that Matthew McCabe arrived in relation to your arrival and when you spoke to the other people?
Matthew McCabe arrived just a couple of minutes after I had walked out of the house the first time.
And so when he arrived, where did you go?
Moments after he arrived, I went back into the house to speak with Mr. McCabe.
And about how long a conversation was it that you were in the house when you were speaking to Mr. McCabe?
I'm not sure. I'd say maybe 5 minutes.
And over the course of that morning, about how many times did you go into the residence at 34 Fairview Road?
3.
Anyone ever tell you that you couldn't go into the home or that stopped you at the doorway or anything like that?
No.
And with reference to inside of the home, what, if any, observations did you make of sort of how the home was situated, anything disheveled or anything like that?
Everything appeared in order.
Weren't they having
Just
a party?
If you know, what, if any, relationships does Matthew McCabe have to Jennifer?
If they were having a party, why would everything seem in order?
Matthew McCabe is Jennifer McCabe's husband.
Now, turning back to what was just up on the screen in Exhibit 27, with regard to those items that you observed in the yards in the front lawn that day, what, if anything, did you or the other officers do with respect to those items?
The drinking glass was secured into an evidence bag, and the blood drops were secured into 6 solo cups.
And why were they secured into 6 solo cups?
We did the best that we could with the situation, with the weather and deteriorating situation. Lieutenant Gallagher was able to attain the solo cups from Lieutenant Kelleher's house, which was diagonally across the street.
Now, with respect to the CPAC unit of the phone call that you
Just real quick, I sent a message to Alina Burrows, our friend who was the crime scene investigator for Kaylee Anthony, had her own show about crime scene investigations. I sent her the solo cups things. She says, where those cups even come from, cross-contamination is a problem. Even if they are new, we don't know how they were handled and packaged at the factory. If they aren't new, there's a potential for other DNA all over them. To collect blood from the snow, you would use sterile cotton swabs or filter paper, which can be dried to prevent bacterial growth and interface with DNA. If you fear you will lose evidence to weather conditions or other issues, protect the evidence until you can collect it properly. Even corner drugstores have sterile gauze pads for emergency conditions.
made to the state police beyond sort of the jurisdiction of them having over unattended deaths and things of that nature. What, if any, other assets that the state police have at their disposal with regard to crime scene that your department has found?
They have crime scene units that process crime scenes.
Now, with respect to those items, once they were secured, just in reference to the solo cups, beyond sort of just putting them into solo cups, what, if anything else, did you or the other officers do to secure those items specifically?
They were secured into a brown evidence bag.
And following them being secured, where did they go from there?
Secured.
They were then,
Wasn't it in a
excuse me,
shopping bag?
They were secured in a shop and stuff. Stop and shop bag. I was really secured. They were really secured in that bag.
Why is he calling it a brown evidence bag? There are evidence bags,
No. This was a
You're
stop and
muted.
shop bag.
babe.
Me or Bob?
I think Bob is, or he was just making faces, not sounds.
Oh no, I was talking about grabbing the shopping safe bags out of my car, the trunk of my car. I got about 10 of them in there. Go grab them. I'm gonna throw these fucking cups in there with the blood. Perfect. Hey, who's got the evidence tape? Bring it over. Bring it over. We're gonna fucking seal this shit up. Let's go. I mean,
You know what that
like
you know what that is, Bob?
that boy's wicked smart.
That's wicked smart, Bob. Wicked smart.
Wicked smart. Like, look, like Allison and I would be losing our mind if we had an investigation that was even remotely this sloppy.
And I'll just go back.
Cross-contaminated. Like, I think that none of this evidence has any evidentiary or scientific value whatsoever. There's no way. Like, the bag has been handled by God knows how many people. The solo cuffs have been handled by God knows how many people. It's like when I went on the tour of the DNA lab, it was like they were talking about like just like these are like hermetically sealed lab rooms because they're so paranoid about just cross-contamination of like a sneeze of a scientist that is trying to evaluate forensically the samples and trying to create a profile of it. Like their skin flaking off, like DNA is just transferred so easily. To me, all of that is garbage. All of it. Like I don't see how any of it will pass any muster. It's absurd. Like I just like I know Joe's like face was gonna blow off his head.
I retweeted that.
You know, I mean, like
He
Joe's
was
like,
so
what
mad.
the fuck is going on? You know, he's like Joe was like, he's like the sergeant having it. You know, but like any cop, any competent cop is not going to ever like their excuse for doing this was the weather, right? Like that's why they had to act. Like I've never heard of cops that don't have some kind of like evidence bags like in their trunk.
And they're a mile and a half away from their station.
Right. Well, but they just went over to dude's house. Yeah, I threw a rager like 3 nights ago. I got a whole fucking sleeve of solos. Just go grab them. We'll stick all the blood in the solos. It'll be fine. You know.
Which, by the way, talking about securing them, clearly they weren't. And didn't they show evidence of them being right by the back of Karen Reed's, back of her? And isn't that where they allegedly found evidence on her car? So like they're not secure. It's out there. Like
they did say, in fairness, their excuse was, true or not, that they were doing the exchange right then. So that they took them out of the locker, the temporary locker, brought them into that area, and then took a photograph as they were passing them off to the state police. But just to kind of go back to the witness before this, I'd be shocked if the the defense is not going to bring this back up again with another witness, either IT or somebody, because I've never in my entire life had a photograph in evidence that did not indicate who took it. Not to mention when they took it, but even who took it. I mean, every time there's a picture taken, it says who took it, and there's a report about the taking of the picture.
Yeah, there's entire reports from evidence techs about every picture they took, every single evidence that they marked for identification. This is just but this is a smaller department. Like we saw it a lot in Avery, where they're like, oh well, they don't necessarily have an evidence tech team. Like sometimes it's just the cops doing it, and it sounds like when we get to the cross-examination of Lank here, and he gives his answers about like chain of custody and like what you do when you open the piece of evidence and you cut the evidence tape, and like it's stunning. It's like it's just stunning. Like I watched this, like I said, all the way through because I was reading tweets that like people were saying, oh, well, the state finally made some of their case today. And I'm like, I watched all of them. I'm like, where? Like, what am I missing? Like, what didn't I see? So let's keep plowing through and see what
they were then placed into my truck at that point, my police truck that I was using that day. And ultimately transported back to the police station
And transported back to the police station
by me.
And once you were back at the police station with those items, what, if anything, did you do with them at that time?
They were secured into temporary evidence in the refrigerated unit for the solo cups, and the glass was secured into temporary evidence.
And so when you say temporary evidence, why were they secured into temporary evidence?
They were secured into temporary evidence so that they could ultimately be turned over to the state police.
And as far as when you secure something into temporary evidence, just in general terms first, what is it that you do with that item to secure it or label it or anything else?
So it's assigned a property number, and we would print out a property label, and then that's assigned. It's assigned to the OF number, which is the report.
So OF stands for a report offense, is that correct?
Offense, yes.
So each report that you generate has a specific number with an OF following it?
That's correct.
And then that number is associated with the evidence that you secure, correct?
Yes.
Now, with reference to that evidence, whether it's temporary evidence or otherwise, what, if any, restrictions are there with regard to access to those items within your department?
So temporary evidence is accessible to all officers.
And two officers from your department, correct?
From our department, yes.
And following that, are you aware, or what, if anything, are you aware of what happened with those items after you secured them into temporary evidence?
I believe they were ultimately turned over to the state police.
May I approach the witness?
Yes.
So I'm handing you up a box. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what do you recognize that to be?
Appears to be a box to secure evidence with a call number on it.
And is that a box that you've seen earlier today?
Yes.
And with reference to what's contained within the box, have you seen that this morning as well?
Yes.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, I would ask that the witness be allowed to take what's in the box out of the box.
What's in the box?
Just with reference to the bag that you have before you, what, if any, markings are on that relate to sort of your case, your case number with the Kansas Police?
So
It just says my son John's name. It says John's lunch.
it is there's a case number assigned to us, 22-87OF, and there is a property number, 22-18PR, and it's listed as broken drinking glass. And
Have you seen the item contained within that bag earlier this morning as well?
yes,
And what you observed within that bag, is that the piece of the cocktail glass that you observed on the front yard area of 34 Fairview Road on January 29th, 2022?
yes, it is.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, I would ask that the witness be allowed to take it out of the bag and display it for the jury. Thank you, sir. You can place it back in the bag.
Allie, try to help me out. Why, if you saw that glass and you're outside a house, would your first guess not be that glass came from inside that house?
That
I'm
would
struggling
definitely
to
be the
understand
first
that.
guess. That would definitely be the first guess.
I forget which witness was. Well, maybe it was what's that jabroni's? The one guy
Yeah.
was just like, I didn't even have to look. I knew it was
Ugh.
not from in the house. It was
Ugh.
like disgusted they would even suggest
Oh,
that.
look in the house.
No, why would I
He's
do
like,
that?
I mean, like his face was like absurd.
How dare you ask me that?
Now, Lieutenant Lank, once you were back at the police station, what, if any, call did you receive from anyone in regard to who, if anyone, called you once you were back at the station?
Jennifer McCabe called at 9 a.m.
And where did you go following that phone call with Jennifer McCabe?
Lieutenant Gallagher and I went back to 34 Fairview Road.
So this is now the third time that you've gone back and gone inside the residence at 34 Fairview Road, is that correct?
That's correct.
And who, if anyone, did you speak with, along with yourself and Lieutenant Gallagher, once you returned there that morning?
Jennifer McCabe.
Okay. About how long a period of conversation was that second conversation that you had with Mr. McCabe?
Between 5 and 10 minutes.
And then following that, where did you go from there?
Returned to the police station.
Now,
All right, guys. Bob and Allie are gone. Time to fucking party. Let's do this thing.
I could turn
Oh,
your
Allie's back.
attention to
Shut up.
February 4th,
Shut up, everyone. Shut up.
2022. You working on that day?
I was.
And in the same capacity that you had described earlier?
Yes.
And at some point, well, approximately 8:50 a.m. or so, who, if anyone, called you on that day?
Lieutenant Gallagher.
And what, if anything, or where did he direct you to go during the course of that conversation?
Lieutenant Gallagher directed me to go back to 34 Fairview Road and meet with Chief Berkowitz as he had possibly discovered more evidence.
And in the time between January 29th and February 4th, had you gone back to 34 Fairview Road at any point?
No.
Now, between that time of January 29th, 2022 and February 4th of 2022, what, if anything, occurred in regard to the weather in between those days?
So the weather had, the temperatures had increased and there was some rain.
And increased, if you know approximately how much?
I believe it made it up to the mid 40s.
So well above freezing, is that correct?
Correct.
And with regard to the snowfall that had come from the 28th and the 29th, what, if anything, just in general, had you, well, not in general, specifically to 34 Fairview Road, what, if anything, did you observe between the snow that you observed there on the 29th and the snow that you observed there on February 4th?
A lot of the snow had melted and a lot of the ground had been revealed.
And when you arrived at 34 Fairview Road on February 4th, what, if anything, did you observe and where did you observe?
Chief Berkowitz brought my attention to a piece of red glass that was about 6 to 8 feet off the into the yard.
Now, before we get to that, as far as when you responded, who, if anyone else from your department, responded along with you?
Detective Tim Taylor.
And the pieces of plastic that you observed, where were they in relation to?
So can you pause this a second?
I sure can.
So they had done this thing where he said he got a call at 9 a.m. Was that the same day that he went back over to the house?
Yeah, this one.
So-
This is third time.
So typically when they do that, that's a way to get around hearsay. So, I got a phone call from Jay. What did you do right after that? I went over to Jay's house and did X, Y, and Z. So it's a way of telling you that Jay said something to draw you there for that reason. So it's possible. I don't know if I just missed something. I know, Bob, you saw this whole thing. Did it seem like they were indicating that the call that he got from McCabe drew him to go and look for the pieces of tailgate that he found in the snow?
Taillight.
Taillight. I don't know why I keep calling it tailgate. Because I guess it's like a big party over there. So I'm like still
Tailgating party.
tailgate party.
I mean, like maybe, but it's certainly not going to be the state that's putting on evidence that the inference would be that the phone call was relating to trying to draw him over the house to like, you might want to come check the lawn. There might be something you're looking for on there. You know what I mean? Like no one's doing that.
Well, they
from the state.
definitely got what happened at 9 a.m. I got a phone call from McCabe, and what did you do after the phone call? I went back over to the house.
Right. I mean, that certainly would indicate, but like this is, aren't we on the 29th?
That's what I was asking Jay. I wasn't sure if I missed it. So if it was the third time he was back at the house, and it may have been that same day. I don't know. I thought maybe it was later because he did start. Then he started talking about finding pieces of the taillights.
Oh, they're saying this is 4 days later is what the chat is saying.
So
Right.
Lamam says that no, the call was on the 29th, the tail light that they started finding. Because remember,
Okay.
tail light.
Sorry. Thank you, Lamont.
The temperature gets up to 40. It's melting. There's some rain. So the tail light's just I'm just gonna start screaming again about the tail light shit because again, we have testimony that the snow or the leaf blower was blowing the snow enough to where you're getting down to the grass. Like, where is the tail light? Where are all these 45 pieces of tail light? Like, at that point, it's like the way that I was hearing about the tail light leading in to the trial was that they were finding it on top of the snow, like that. So, but that doesn't seem accurate. Now that we know that it's 4 days later, the snow was melting. It's like it certainly could have been buried deep in the snow, and the snow melts down to where the taillight was. But to me, the bigger question is, it appears to me that there was not much snow yet, maybe an inch, maybe 2, certainly not 6. Like I was telling Jay when we were watching on Monday, and they were showing dashboard cams, like the easiest way for me to tell is not on the ground, but on cars. Like I can see, you got flat trunk areas, flat roofs. You can typically see. It's how I always tell at our house. I look on our banisters, on our railing, on our deck, or I look on the roof of the car to see how much snow we got. It's the easiest way. So Neely says, Bob, I think the leaf blower just took off the top layer of snow. And the red plastic lay underneath. So I saw testimony, Neely, that the leaf blower would blow enough snow that it was getting down to the grass.
He did say that. He said he went all the way down at a 6x6 or 7x7 area around the body.
Right. So, all right, let's see what else he has to say.
Where you had observed or where you had been directed to that Mr. O'Keefe had been found on January 29th.
The glass was in the vicinity of where Mr. O'Keefe had been discovered.
Now, with respect to that pieces of plastic that you observed, what, if anything, did you do to memorialize where they were?
I photographed the piece of plastic as it sat.
And did you or anyone in your presence touch, manipulate, or move those pieces of plastic in any way?
No.
And
so Good didn't
point,
know his lieutenant took the photo? Come on.
Who, if anyone, did you contact in regard to securing those items?
I contacted the CPAC unit, and ultimately Trooper Buchanan arrived back at the scene.
And if you know about how much time elapsed between the time that you contacted CPAC and the time that Buchanan arrived?
I honestly don't recall.
And when Trooper Buchanan arrived on scene, what, if anything, did you observe him to do with those pieces of plastic that you directed his attention to?
Trooper Buchanan secured the item into a evidence bag.
Can I approach your?
Yes.
So I'm showing you 2 photographs. It's actually just briefly to look them over and look up when you're finished. Do you recognize those, sir?
I do.
What do you recognize in those photographs?
I recognize this to be the piece of plastic that Chief Berkowitz had observed on that morning.
Those are the photographs that you took that morning as well, is that correct?
That's correct.
What's contained in those photographs, is that a fair and accurate portrayal of what you observed on February 4th, 2022?
Yes, it is.
Colonel Commonwealth seek to introduce and admit as the next to exhibit.
Okay.
Lieutenant Lang, do you recognize what's depicted up on the screen currently?
Yes.
And this is sort of a further out image of that piece of plastic you were talking about. Is that correct?
Yes.
Using the laser pointer before you, if you could just draw the jury's attention to where in the photograph you observe that.
Who's got the squeaky chair,
I'm just
man?
filming the next photograph.
Good question.
Oh, look at that. Look at.
And sir, do you again recognize what's up on the screen?
Yes, it's a close-up picture of the piece of plastic.
Jay, pause it.
Thank you.
All right, so
That seems ridiculous, right, babe?
yes, honey, it seems like utter foolishness. Like, so here's the concept. That this thing was covered with snow, and now we know, okay, that it got up to 40 degrees and it was raining. So that does accelerate the melting of snow. You can see if you look closely on that thing, there's clearly raindrops on it. But here's my question. Okay. Like so theoretically, this is buried, and I don't know what they got. They got like a foot. I mean, this was like a nor'easter dump. Like they got a shit ton of snow. You know, Boston gets at 1-2 feet, like it ain't nobody's business up there. And if this thing's buried, like even when the snow melts, like this thing is still there's going to be an indentation in the snow underneath it.
Yeah, I think you would expect it to be the same underneath it, whatever it is, either preserved or melted, but not like that.
Where's the picture of them removing it so I can see the indentation of where that was buried in the snow with the weight of the snow coming down on the taillight, depressing it into the snow that it was originally laying on top of. You know what I'm saying? It's like, where's that picture?
And how'd all that snow get under it if it was there before it snowed?
Or they're claiming like don't we need a meteorologist to say if this thing? Oh, hi, buddy. Oh, what a sweet guy. I missed you so much. You know, if we've got a situation where we're going to have a meteorologist come on and say, okay, the state's timeline is this. They're saying that Karen dropped John off around 2:30, whatever, 2:37 or whatever time that is, that he gets dropped off and he gets out of the car. Like, we need to know how much snow there was on the ground at that point. Like we're acting like we're in the 1930s and we just can't go online and figure out exactly how much snow precipitation had fallen at that juncture. I don't think that shit had fallen, let alone that much. You know, because you know how it is when you have a big snow, right, Jay, in New York, and it gets warm, the shit starts melting, and then you have a rain on top of it. It really precipitates the melting of the snow. You know, so this here, like, I mean, you can't tell how much snow there is there. Like, I can't tell what this kind of like watery
bullshit
spot
on that picture. That's all
I'm calling
saying.
bullshit on this picture. I'm calling bullshit on the fact that they don't find one piece of taillight in the entire yard. And don't even get me started on the shoe. Jay, where's the shoe? Where's the shoe, Jay?
What I'm thinking about this, and I'm wrong, but like, I don't understand how this piece is from an injury to a human. I don't understand. Like, how did this? So is this from hitting his head? Is that what we're like? What is the theory as to how, like, why is just this little piece? Is just this piece they found? Where are the other pieces? How was this?
I think that's like one of the more substantial pieces. I think this is like a big chunk.
Yeah,
it looks huge, but I
mean, we can't tell because they don't like in normal police force. There's nothing to give us scale. You know, you always see those, those little kind of like ruler looking things. You know, with like
just this piece. There's supposedly a bunch of other pieces, right?
44
Yeah, there's those little
pieces.
specks. Yeah.
But those are nowhere to be found. Just this one is here, and where are the other ones? Where's all the rest of it?
I don't know, man.
They showed a little one in the melted snow, but they showed a couple little specks in the melted snow that looked like that could have been there whence the snow melted. But the way this is laying, with some melted snow at one end, the snow's still fully there on the other end. And like Bob's saying, it doesn't appear to have any sort of indentation around it. I'd either expect the snow under that all to be preserved or all to be melted and everything else around it not melted. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you guys.
Yeah, listen, here's what's going on.
I'm coming in.
But I digress.
Did I just put the 2.3 minutes?
Yes.
Are we up to cross? I can fast forward this thing.
Sidebar.
Let's see what the next timestamp is. We're at 224, 226. I think we're up to Mr. Jackson.
Start by asking you about your relationship with certain members of the Albert family. Do you know any other members of the Albert family other than Brian Albert?
Yes.
Can you describe who those are?
Kevin Albert, who is a detective on our department.
Yeah, I think we can
Chris
fast
Albert.
forward through this again.
And
All
Everything
right.
that we're going to get initially is the same shit that Jackson asked him during the offer of proof. Like,
So, all right, let's go to 239, I guess.
yeah, let's check that out, because the 236 is all the exact, like the relationships that he grew up with these kids. He was
All right.
tighter with one more than the other.
I see two still images.
Okay. Do you recognize either or both of those images?
Yes.
How do you recognize them?
It looks like the scene from that morning from, I believe it's going to be the top one anyways, that 683 Officer Sarif's cruiser.
And the bottom one?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Looks like possibly Sergeant Goods based on where it's placed.
Okay. If we could fast forward to the 28:40 mark or so, Mr. Bateson, play that. And let's pause it for a second. Your Honor, may we approach briefly?
Okay.
She's like, I don't want to waste a lot of time, but I want you guys to come up here and check with me before you do anything.
Hold on, sidebar.
Every 5 minutes.
Sidebar.
You indicated that you have reviewed these videos in anticipation of your testimony today, correct?
Yes.
I'm going to ask you to direct your attention to the top video, and specifically to an area right around this area in the video, which is highlighted. Before we play, a couple of foundational questions. Did you meet with Jennifer McCabe out behind the vehicle that's depicted in the Officer Serif dash cam?
Yes,
Did you have some sort of a conversation with her?
I did.
At some point, did you see Ms. McCabe leave your presence and walk toward the driveway?
Once the conversation had terminated, I honestly don't recall where she went.
Did she tell you that she intended to go inside the house?
I had said to her that at some point we're going to need to speak to Brian and Nicole
Why did you think it was important to speak to Brian and Nicole?
because it's their property.
And somebody was laying in the snow, unconscious and unresponsive, correct?
Correct.
And obviously that could potentially, at least, implicate people inside the house.
Based on my conversation with Miss McCabe, she had stated that the intention was for Mr. McCabe, for Mr. O'Keefe to join them at that house. So I wanted to get statements from everybody who was there.
Find out what happened, correct?
Correct.
I mean, that's sort of the obvious initial point of an investigation. Find out who the witnesses are and interview all of them, correct?
Correct.
And you began by talking to Ms. McCabe,
Yes.
knowing that she was a potential witness at least, correct?
She identified herself as a friend of Mr. O'Keefe.
Who had been with Mr. O'Keefe just hours before.
Yes.
He ended up laying in the snow fighting for his life, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And you also knew that there were other witnesses potentially inside the house because she just told you that, right?
I knew that that was ultimately where he was supposed to end up.
So if there were other witnesses in the house, if there were other individuals in the house, they also were potential witnesses.
Potentially.
No,
And
no
Mr.
probable
McKay
cause.
indicated, I'm going to go in.
No probable cause. I mean, I knew they were going to go in the house. Yeah. Potentially they were witnesses. No, probable cause. Never.
I mean, to say that a body on the lawn is not probable cause is utter bullshit.
By the way, Bob, did you see who my doppelganger is for this guy? Who I think he looks like?
With his glasses on?
Yeah, I noticed it with his glasses, but even without, he's a Rich Gannon, former cornerback, Rich Gannon.
Yes, he's got a little of the Gannon.
I had told her that she's going to have to wake her sister up because we're going to need to speak with them.
You didn't think that it was more important to separate the witnesses and not let her talk to other witnesses?
No.
You felt that it was appropriate to let all the witnesses get together and just discuss the facts before you had an opportunity to interview them separately?
Objection.
It is to the form.
Form of the
For
question.
folks who didn't watch it, that's the FBI coming to arrest this witness.
I'm just letting the siren go out.
That's fine.
Lieutenant Lake, if you could direct your attention to the area that I highlighted earlier. Let's go ahead and play the video. Stop. Did you see anything occur at or around the car in the distance?
I wouldn't even bring this up now.
It appears to be somebody walking towards the house.
Was that Jim McKay?
Probably.
I can't say for sure.
Do you see yourself, by the way, in this video?
Yes.
Where are you?
Right here.
Okay. You've described for the, I don't know if it's tan or gray.
It's a gray North Face jacket with it's black on the top.
Okay. Toward the shoulders?
Yes.
All right.
It's my pride and joy.
Let's go ahead and play the video and I'll indicate another stopping place that I'd like to ask you a couple of questions about. Apologize.
Don Burke asked a question. Don,
Standing in front of
I want you to not that one. That one. Flush this question out. Are you talking about the cocktail glass? Or are you talking about the tail light? You don't have to send another super chat. Just you can answer
on the chat.
Yeah. Is Creed saying I'm attempting a mustache? Dude, I have like one of the baddest ass mustaches in the whole YouTube universe, man. I don't know what you're talking about, Creed.
How dare you, sir?
How dare you, sir? How dare you?
Did you see another person shorter in stature approach you?
I believe right
Don's tail light.
Yes.
Yes,
I've
sir.
never heard of a glass tail light.
Yes.
Ever.
Who is that?
I mean, not
I
modern.
believe it's Kerry Roberts.
Okay. Let's play it.
100 Amber knows. Creed.
How's it?
That really is your name. Pain. Mandy knows too. She knows.
Did you see yourself just exit screen right?
Yes.
It appeared that you had something in your hand.
Yes.
You're taking a call
Yes.
on your cell phone.
Yes.
What was that call?
Oh.
I don't recall. It could have. I can't see what time that is.
Not Jen.
I don't believe that I made the call to the CPAC unit until around 6:38, so I'm not sure who that call was from.
If you'll direct your attention, I think now down toward the camera below,
Yes.
you may see yourself enter the frame. Can we go ahead and play it?
Malarkey.
Go ahead and pause it. Does it appear you're on the phone?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, they're gonna, like any kind of expert's gonna say it was a big steaming pile of horse shit. This investigation.
Pause it. Did it appear that you walked off screen left?
Yes.
Still on the phone?
Yes.
Go ahead. Pause it. Did you see somebody following that same direction?
It looked like Officer Sheriff.
Go ahead and play it.
He said glass and then plastic.
Actually, I'm wrong because that's Officer Sheriff right there, so I'm incorrect.
You think it might have been Sergeant Good?
Could we play it back?
With the court's permission.
Sure, go ahead.
Amber, why wouldn't you just go in during business hours with like a can of WD-40 and just, give it a quick catch you up at the judge's bench? Sorry, Judge, it's just WD-40. Sure.
You recognize that person?
Yes, I'm mistaken. That's Sergeant Good.
Okay, go ahead.
Johnny Lubes coming in with the $7 holla. Thank you, Dawn, so much for your
Lubers.
Yeah, Johnny Lubes. Thanks. Allison was correcting my reading. I was clearly giving him a nickname. Johnny Lubes.
Which went with his WD-40.
I was going to say.
Yes.
Otherwise, I didn't like it.
You didn't like Johnny
still Sergeant
Lubes?
Good.
Are you speaking to Sergeant Good or are you walking away from him?
It's outrageous.
Or can you tell?
In that frame, it appears I'm standing right next to him.
Okay, let's go ahead and play it. Pause it. Did it appear you were sort of walking away from Sergeant Good off frame again?
Yes, it appears that I'm pacing.
Were you still on the phone?
Yes.
Go ahead. Pause it. Directing your attention to the top video. Do you see the SUV in the video?
Yes.
Does that SUV appear to be leaving the scene?
Yes.
Do you know who was in that video? In that SUV?
I believe it's going to be Kerry Roberts and Karen Reed.
Okay, go ahead and play it.
Al, you're calling me. Do you mean to be calling me?
At that point, are you walking back into the frame
Yes,
on the
check the
lower
private chat
video?
box.
Yes.
At this point, Lieutenant, are the lights on at 34 Fairview on or off?
They still appear to be off.
And at some point while you were at the scene, did the lights come?
All right, friends, we're going to go to what they end. I mean, I think we all kind of get the idea here, right? So we're going to go to what they ended on today, which, by the way, was a half day. And what they ended on, let me go to that. And thanks again, Dizzy, for setting this up, and Mandy. Also, thanks Steve and Dan, Publicly Buzzed, who portaled into this stream from their stream, checking this testimony. You should be subscribed to them if you're not already. So
Yes,
thanks,
please.
Publicly Buzzed. And just to answer this while you're looking for it, they cannot mention the FBI investigation. There might be something, some part of it that they may ultimately be allowed to answer if something were specifically to come up, but as of now, no.
So do I watch this whole cam or I just want to go to this? Oh, this is what I want, right? Yeah. All right. So let's
Mandy, actually, Allison and I had the longest 24 hours out.
We're gonna go knock on
Wait a
doors
second.
and see if there's any activity of anybody.
Jay had a pretty bad 24 hours.
Jay had a fucking awful 24 hours, but ours was longer.
You can pause it
Like,
there.
Jay goes to bed at a reasonable hour.
Now, so it appears from this you pull into the
So here we go,
driveway at,
pulling
One
in.
Meadows Ave, is that correct?
Yes,
to see Karen
This
Reed.
vehicle directly in front of you, correct?
correct.
And at the time, you were not aware of sort of the particulars of the incident that occurred earlier in the morning, correct?
Correct.
And fair to say from what's depicted up on the screen, was that essentially what the driveway looked like at that time when you came in there at approximately 8:23 in the morning, correct?
Yes.
And as far as when you went to knock on the door, are you just knocking on the front door and then no one answers and that's it? Or you look around the house? What is it that you do on a well beach?
You would go to the front door or the door that you think everyone would use in a whatever the situation was. You take a cursory glance around to see if there's any reason to check anywhere else. In this case, it's a fenced backyard, so I'm not going to be going back there. Because if in this case, we weren't looking for someone that might be a dead body, we were looking for 2 children that would be up and active.
Now, as far as that vehicle that's parked in the driveway in front of you, did you have any reason to look at it, inspect it, or anything like that at this point that you're at the house?
No.
And as far as any condition of it, specifically the right rear passenger side, you didn't have any occasion to go inspecting that or looking at it at that point, correct?
Correct.
Now, as far as from this video, the condition of the right rear passenger side and the condition vis-a-vis the left rear passenger side, that's how it appeared in the driveway when you pulled up, correct?
Correct.
Ms. Gilman, if you could hit play.
I mean, can we tell anything about the taillight there?
Dude, that's what I was gonna say when this was done. I saw a lot of people making a big deal. I can't see shit. I don't know what I can barely. I don't know.
I can't see shit either.
There's got to be a way to blow it.
Like this is what they're.
So the
this
individual
is
just
what,
sort
like,
of
they're
walked across the front of the booth.
suggesting
Did you recognize that?
Yes.
And who
was
that?
like
That's me.
huge evidence for the state
Your Honor,
today.
I'm not sure how. Maybe we approach.
Okay.
There she is, pissed. To me, I don't know. I just don't see it as being like a massive thing. I don't know. I see other people saying, folks, I don't know how to zoom in on this, but
It
I
looks
can't see.
intact to me. I'm zooming in on it on my screen.
You are?
Well, yeah, I'm making the picture
Oh yeah.
bigger.
So, babe, I think it's like the upper tail light, not the little
red piece.
The little red piece down there. It's like the higher piece. Like when
But
I've
the other side looks a little black on the other side too.
they look identical to me.
So I
Both
think
sides.
this right here is what Dan is saying. The entire piece on the right side is missing. It's not red. So I guess
Where?
Put your cursor
can you see
on.
I am. Can you see it or no?
Oh yeah.
All right, here it is. So
Yeah.
right here, I believe, is what he's talking about, right?
Well, point on the other side where it's red.
So I think what he's saying is, like here, this is all red, all to the sides, one color, right? Here
Oh.
it's, and then in here it's like clear. I think that's what they're like. All here, it's all the same uniform color. You know, this is all red, and then here.
The animal's saying the tail light's clearly gone.
Yeah, I see it now. I was looking at the bottom one.
So Dan is agreeing. That's what they're talking about.
Huh.
And that's what the state ended on.
So yeah, I guess it does seem to have accumulated snow. I guess that is the defining difference. Now, if that's true, that aces the whole Sally Port.
Well, right, but I'm sure the defense has some. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how it plays out. I can't tell. Could that be snow? But it does look different.
I mean, it does. Because like somebody had told me that, like, or put it in our chat, Jay, that Lexus had like a shatterproof taillights.
Yeah, I think I saw that too.
I don't, I actually tried to Google it today to see if that was legit. Not that I was doubting our lovely sub, but I mean, I don't know if that's true.
Mandy says,
I'm assuming if that was true, that they'd have a witness from Lexus coming around their witness list. Hey, what's up, T? T's in the house, y'all. What's up, girl?
What is up?
Hi.
All right. So, I mean, do we feel like this is like all we need to see?
I mean, that's the rest of that's it. That's all they did today because it was a half.
Yeah,
day.
I don't know what you guys think. Kind of wrapping up the review. Like, I didn't think. Oh, T sent me some pictures. You know what, T? I'm going to use those when Jay and I go live in the morning. T's got some. It looks like they're slightly bigger.
I'm going to say bye now while you guys do your goodbyes, and God forbid there's any family hugs happening.
Well, thank you, Allie, for joining us. Get some sleep. It's back
Bye,
to
everybody.
Party Alley. Goodbye, Party Alley. Tomorrow.
Right.
Party Alley. Night.
Bye.
So yeah, man, I think like I just didn't think like the Lang thing was real explosive. Like, I mean, shitty police work. We know they they're putting evidence in paper bags from Shop and Save inside of.
I mean, that was out already, right? So that wasn't even really new. We knew that.
Like he didn't make any headway because he couldn't get into what was said in the house, to McCabe's or anyone else that they spoke to. He doesn't leave the foyer. They get him to admit that he didn't do any kind of investigation in the house. He says this bullshit that he wouldn't be able to get probable cause from a judge to get a search warrant, which is absurd. If they go in, like, if their narrative is different, like, okay, we know he was going to that house to party, and we know he got dropped off there, and we know that he ends up laying on the lawn and is found dead after he goes in the party. If like that's their narrative, if that's what they're stepping in front of a judge with a probable cause affidavit, they're getting a warrant to search the house. Period. Like it's such bullshit. So, I mean, we'll see how it plays out, but I mean, it's definitely God, dude, I can't wait till Proctor gets on the stand.
Dude, you know what I was just thinking? They said that when the first thing that happened on Monday was Yannetti saying, we got some more pictures here of Kate McLaughlin with Caitlin Albert. And then the judge is like, to the state, when's Caitlin? And he said the middle of the week. And I think he might have said Wednesday. Folks, correct me if I'm wrong, but it might be tomorrow. But also, she held off. She's like, I'm not dealing with this now. When is Caitlin coming in? So I'm curious if tomorrow's the day of Caitlin Albert. It's going to be a big day. If
that would be great.
Because it seems like they're getting right now. They got through the officers, right? They got through the remaining people who were doing the investigation, or at least most of them. So it could be interesting. Tomorrow could be a big day. Teresa says yes. So that would be a bit. Whoa! Look at Dawn coming in late, coming in hot.
Dawn crushed the game with just always giving today with so many supers. And thank you so much, Dawn. Thank you to all you guys for all your supers. Anybody who, I don't know if we got any new members, got this one. This one's great. Thank you for that $5 and a wonderful compliment. We love that. And we love you guys. Thank you for hanging with us tonight.
Absolutely.
Sorry we bolted, but we're back to regular scheduled programming tomorrow.
8:45
Jay's,
Eastern.
Jay's channel tomorrow.
Yes.
All right. So
I'll set that up after I end the stream, and then I'll pass out. I hope you pass out too, Bob. We need some
immediately
rest.
as soon as I get the pillow.
So thank you guys so much. Thank you for catching this recap with us. We'll be back tomorrow, 8:45 Eastern. And that's it, I think. Thank you all so much.
Thank you,
guys.
mods, too. We love you guys.
Thank you, mods. Good night, everybody.
Night, everyone.